Welcome to Journey's Academy. So let's begin. First, we're going to draft our off-shoulder blouse, of which I'm going to be using 5 inches for the neck depth. And keeping 5 inches away from the measuring tape, I marked my bust line, under bust, and waistline. What is out is 5 inches from the tape, bust line, waistline, and under bust. We are going to rule it across with our measuring, with our ruler. Okay, I hope you understand. Now the next thing is to mark our bust span measurement. Bust span is divided by 4. I'll mark it on the bust line, the under bust, and the waistline. I'll also rule it straight to the neckline, which is where the paper starts. Remember, we kept 5 inches away, which serves as how deep we want the neckline to be. All right. So once this is done, we are going to tighten our under bust. On this part, 1.5 inch is what I used. On the other part, 0.75. I'll mark the same thing on the waistline, 1.5 inch, 0.75, and I'll connect them on a straight line. Then I'll get my curve and connect from the bust point down to the under bust on the both ways. I'll connect this part first and then turn and connect the other part. Okay, so I hope you've subscribed to this channel. If you've not, please kindly do so. Now on the upper part, which is where our neckline is, I'm going to take 1 inch on this part and 0.5 inch on that other part, and I will use my straight rule to connect the lines to the bust point. I hope this is clear. Connect to the bust points. Okay, so we're making progress. Now we're going to take our bust measurement, divide by 4, and I'm going to mark it. Whatever your bust is, divide it by 4 and mark. Divide your under bust by 4 and mark also. But whatever you have at the dart intake, add it up after marking so that you do not have shortage. Now we're still going to do the same thing on the waistline, divide by 4 and add the dart intake as well. Okay, so we're going to get our ruler and connect them on a straight line like so. Very beautiful. Then we are making progress. We're going to take our neck width. If I use only what is on this side, it will not be enough. So I will extend it to this other side, meaning I'm using about 4.5 inches. So I'll mark what I have here and complete it on the other side. Now I'll mark what is remaining of my armhole depth, or you just mark 1.5 inches up from the bust line. Okay, that is the armhole depth. Assuming your armhole is 9 inches, we've removed 5 inches. The remaining is what we are marking. And we connect to our neckline, the width of our neckline. Remember, if you use only 3 inches for your neckline, the neckline is going to come very close, but I do not want it to be really close. So the neck depth, it depends on how you want to curve it. This is a sweetheart neckline. You can still decide to curve it more in a way that it will not be revealing. Okay, so I'll still use my curve to connect the sweetheart neckline. We've already gotten the depth of the neckline. This is to get the sweetheart neckline. Now I'm going to take my bust dart and I'll connect it to the bust points. Okay, this is for the front part of our off shoulder, after which we're going to go over to the back and draft it as well. Now for the back, I also mark 5 inches away from the measuring tape, which is the same thing as the front. Then I'll mark my armhole depth and the waistline. Armhole depth and the waistline. Okay, I'll repeat the same thing to have a straight line. If you don't know the armhole depth, measure what we have on the front and use it to mark it. I'll rule it across. All right, this is the armhole and that is the waist line. Then at the waistline, I'm going to deepen it by 0.75 so that the zipper area does not bulge. So from the marking, we're now going to take our measurements. On the armhole line, divide your bust into 4 and mark. The same thing applies on the waistline. But before then, we're going to get our bust span. We're using it at the back also to get the dart line. I hope you understand. To get the dart line, we're using the same bust span divide by 2. So mark my dart intake on the waistline, half inch on both sides. And I'll continue with my waistline divide by 4 and add the 1 inch for the dart intake. Okay, now we're going to connect the dart intake to the armhole line. We're still going to make some alterations later. On the upper part, I'll mark 0.25. This is to tighten the upper part of the back neckline. 0.25, and I'll connect it. 0.25 is on the both sides, meaning altogether it's half an inch. Okay, so the same neckline I marked at the front, that is what I'll mark at the back as well. Okay, and I'll connect from there to my armhole measurements. This is just straight forward, and then we're going to connect to our measurements of the waistline. Then I will deepen the back neckline by 0.5 inch, just 0.5 inch. That will connect it. Okay, so this is what we have for our back draft for the off shoulder, and we're going to still continue to make other alterations. So after cutting, we are now going to do some more alterations at the front to get the actual design that we're going to be working on. Let me just remind us, if you've not subscribed, please kindly do so, and let's see as we proceed. Now this is the skirt. I believe we know how to draft a skirt. We have so many videos on how to draft a skirt. So a pencil skirt, which I'm going to alter into a semi-flare skirt. Now at the upper part, there is a design which I'm going to mark out. This is the side of the upper part. I will mark out some points, some parts, and connect it to towards the midpoint, towards the dart area. If you watch the design very well, you're going to see these parts, which I'm going to use a different fabric to make. Okay, so I'll cut this part out, and then I'll use the front part to also trace out the point where I'm going to be having the design in front. Okay, so I'll connect this towards my knee line so that I will use it to create the design using a different fabric. Okay, so you just watch following the design and you're going to understand what we are making. So I'll cut this part out and attach it to the center front of the upper part, which I will use to create the design, the gathered design in front. So for the sides, we're going to cut it out and attach it to the back, or we're going to cut it separately but with a different fabric. Okay, so the pleat in front is going to have these two that I just left, and this part also at the skirt which I'm about to cut out, it's going to serve as the design. I hope you are following, and I hope you understand. As you continue to watch this video to the end, you're definitely going to understand what is happening. So I'll put these two together and I'll cut it as one um pattern. I'll cut it as one pattern. Okay, and then I will equally cut the other side and join them together. So as you continue to watch, I will implore you to watch to the end. The video is not that long and you're going to get the best part of it as you watch to the end. So we're going to cut on our fabric and then join together. So this is me showing how to join it. It's going to be attached this way as the side. You can see the way it is, the front and the back side. This is how it's going to be after cutting it on a different fabric. Okay, so now we move over to the skirt to alter it into a kind of lace skirt, a line skirt. Okay, a marmot skirt. So I'll use it on cut on my fabric. This is the back part, the front is below it. You can see that at the back I slashed the both sides because I want the back to be kind of longer than the side, even though the fabric is not that much. Okay, so depending on how long you want it, you can add extra length to it after cutting. You can see the shape that we have. It's so beautiful, and I hope you're learning so much from this video. Okay, so for the pieces that we have before the pattern set, we're now going to cut them separately on our fabric, depending on the fabric, on the different kinds of fabric that we're using. So for the back that we cut, we're going to cut everything separately. We've joined the parts that we need to join. So after cutting, we're going to laminate our wording, our stay, especially on the bust area so that it becomes firm, right? You can also add your cup to it so that it is firm. I'm using this red fabric and the men fabric also because the red is transparent. So I need to do the gumming on the men fabric and then use the red fabric to place on top of it. You can see how it is. So beautiful. If you have a different kind of fabric, it is fine. So I'll do some gatherings and place it on top of this front part. This part is actually two, right? It is two. So after doing this, I will do the other side as well. I'll show us that part on the mannequin. So if you cannot drape on the table after gathering, you can also just drape it on the mannequin. So this is the other side and this is how it looks. So beautiful. Don't you like it? So we're not going to put the two of them together after this. We're going to join the two of them together as you will see, and this is how it is looking. So beautiful, so demure. I so love it. Okay, so this is what we have. Now going over to the sleeve area, I actually lost the clip where I did the cutting of the sleeve. The sleeve is an exaggerated puff sleeve. I did not see the video again. And so I have the exaggerated part and the fitted part cut separately. This is the fitted part which is going to be joined to the exaggerated part. You can see that the base of the saturated part is wider, so I'm going to gather it into the fitted part of the sleeve. All right, so I'm now going to go over to my sewing machine and put the two of them together, join it together, as in gather it into the fitted part. For the fitted part, I use lining to turn it at once before joining the two of them together. Okay, so after this, now I'm going to use this strap at the upper part because the sleeve is supposed to be an off shoulder sleeve, but I cut it as a normal sleeve. So I'm going to use this strap to round it up at the cap head or the cap height. Okay, so that I will be able to fix the armhole into the garment that we've just created. And this strap is what I will use to hold it at the shoulder area. All right, so I'll just go ahead and join it to the cap area of the sleeve. You can see how beautiful it is. Okay, so the lining is shorter than the main fabric, than the main sleeve. It is shorter so that I'll use it to draw it up. So I'm going to be joining this. I've joined this one, but I've not sewn it. So I used pin to hold it. I will loosen the pin and show us how to join it. You can see that it is very neat and it is well covered. Okay, so I'm going to put it, join it to the seam line of the exaggerated sleeve and the fitted sleeve, and then pull it up to meet with the cap of the exaggerated sleeve so that it draws it up and it covers the joining of both the fitted sleeve and the exaggerated sleeve where they are joined. And so everything is made perfect. I will then join the lining together to the sleeve head. And the next thing is to fix it on our garments, and everything, it will come out so beautiful. I hope you love this, and I love it too. I can't wait to wear it and show you how it's going to look. Thank you so much for watching. See you next.